beautiful people, and welcome back to the channel. You know the brand P&Z Life Coaching. You know the man, Coach Mike James, and I'm back again with another dope segment, episode, special edition, because they're all special, of Black Business Booming. I'm excited, man. This is a good one. This brother right here is just dope, doing some amazing things. But before we get to that, listen, y'all. Listen. Come here. Come closer. Listen. If you are not subscribed to the channel yet, somebody sent you this or you've seen some of my stuff, take a moment right now, subscribe to the channel. The other thing I want to ask you to do is make sure that you support. It's going to be information in the description below, how you can support all the people that I've had conversations with. So make sure you do that and tell somebody, anybody, everybody about your boy, Coach Mike James, here on YouTube, because we are growing in 2024. So thank you in advance, and enjoy, because this is going to be a good one. So, bro, listen, let's jump right into it, man. This is what I started doing on the most recent Black Business Booming interviews. I started saying, listen, I can talk about you and tell you, but I want you to imagine that you are going up to accept your Nobel Peace Prize, your Grammy, your Businessman of the Year, whatever that may be. And take a moment to just introduce yourself and let the people know whatever kind of background information and who you are. So just going to hand it over to you and let the people know who you are.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Thank you. Thank you for blessing me with this opportunity to be here with you. My name is Steve Davis Jr. I am a servant leader, design thinker, an author, and an athlete transition coach. I hail from St. Louis, Missouri, and currently I reside in Minnesota, where I played football for the University of Minnesota and went through my own transition of life after sports to try to figure out who I am and my identity and really pick up the pieces from there. That long journey has propelled me to want to give back and be of service to others in that same type of mindset and transition. So my life work has really been about helping people and serving people, specifically former athletes. And that has come to a full fruition now, where now I have launched a business called Striving Higher After Sports. And it really provides the opportunity for athletes to get that transition coaching, to get the opportunity to learn about the ins and outs of things outside of sport, and really design a fulfilled life outside of sport. We are more than just an athlete. There's more to us than just being in the X's and O's and in the trenches. There's transferable things that we can take with us. And I'm helping to, awaken that up in other people so that they can go about their life in a fulfilled way and take advantage of all the opportunities that are presented to them. I did this for myself, and I'm really looking forward to doing that for everybody else. So I'm just happy to be here, bro.
Yeah, man, well, that's it. That's the post. I mean, we ain't got that left. Follow my bro.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. And that's why I started doing that maybe like 2 interviews ago. Like, really, here's what I say, 2024, my dub of the year, bro. I do my dubs of the days, but for 2024, start of the year, my first dub was a dub of the year. And I said, for 2024, it's just say no in 24. In other words, we're going to say no to dimming our light. We're going to say no to being in the back burner. We're going to say no to missing opportunities. We're going to say no to self-doubt, limiting beliefs, imposter syndrome, all that stuff, man. So I started saying, you know what? I'm going to let people introduce themselves as if they were accepting an award, right? If you've ever done an interview, you've ever done any kind of thing like that, you send in your intro anyway. So you might as well put the sauce on it that's needed. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, you know what, man? I've never had anyone. I've done a lot of interviews, been on quite a few podcasts, done a lot of stuff speaking, and I've never had someone to say, hey, listen, introduce yourself like you would want people to hear. And it's like, oh, yeah, so that's what I started doing, man. Yeah, for real, period. And you crushed it. I'm like, you answered so many of the questions in this conversation that we talk about. But just going back to your introduction, man, and I'm excited that you are here. It's my pleasure. I tell people all the time, I'm biased, naturally. I love coaches, man. I love coaches, the full array of that, because coaches are speakers, coaches are teachers, coaches are partners, coaches are authors, coaches are those who want to help people. I love everybody in the helping fields, whether it be coaching, consulting, mentoring, counseling, therapy. But I have a special place in my heart as a coach, of course, and even our connection and how we met, man. So I'm just excited, man. So you mentioned a little bit in your intro, bro, but when you think about it, so a little bit more for the audience. Black Business
Mhm.
Movement. I designed this so that I can interview Black businesses and entrepreneurs at any level in their entrepreneurship. Like they woke up today, they went and got an LLC, they're starting something. I want to interview them tomorrow, right? They've been in it for 50 years. They got so many gems and stuff to tell. I want to interview them, right? So I always say that because if you are or if you know a Black entrepreneur at any level in their formation or their journey of running a business, send them my way. So back to you, bro. So tell me, when did this dream or this passion start? Right, you
Yeah.
were a college athlete, you played ball, you had to go through the transitions yourself and do this. So before you even talk about when you started the business and this fire that you have, when did that dream start for you of starting striving higher after sports?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I mean, like most athletes, when I was playing, I had that one track mind, thinking that I was gonna make it to the league. I had everything going for me. At least I thought. I was a freshman All American. I was an All Big Ten player. I became a senior captain. I felt that I had the skill set to be one of the top 300 players in the world to get drafted. And there was a lot of like angst and expectation from people that I knew where I'm from. I had high expectations of myself, and even though people would come in and give us, um, some advice and say, only 3% of the people in college will ever make it to the pros. Well, I felt like that was me. Like I'm in that
Mm-hmm.
3%. So, riding the wave as far as I could. It really hit home for me and became like the most humbling moment of my life when draft day came. I really didn't know where I was gonna, fall within the draft. But my family was so excited for me and knew, they were just behind me, having that success, that they wanted to throw a draft party, and we did that. And when we threw the draft party, I mean, that was like the most nerve-wracking moment of my life. Like I'm sitting there trying to have conversations and eat food and like enjoy the moment, but like waiting on my phone to ring. And
Mm,
if it rings and it's not my agent or it's not a team, I'm like, stop calling me. And it sucked for me. But I think this happens for a lot of people. Um, I didn't hear my name called. And when I didn't hear my name called, it kind of like it hurt. And I had to try to hide it a little bit in front of like my family and friends. But on the inside, I was tore up. I was like, oh man, I think for the first time in my life, failed at something that I couldn't really control. And I didn't know what to do next. But it started to build some type of fire in me because I wanted to figure out who I was. I wanted to figure out what's next for me in this life. And I know I wasn't just always a football player. There was more to me, but I spent so much of my time in this sport that I really didn't prepare for a lot of different
mm,
aspects of things outside of it. So it really like gave me a opportunity to like learn more about myself and grow. And while I could have sat there and been soaking in my thoughts and been in deep depression, just because of the identity that I felt that I lost, I decided to just try things, put myself out there, put myself in uncomfortable situations, fail. And what I realized is that, you know, I connected with some other people who were former athletes, and they connected me to other people, and then it connected me to opportunities. And it started to build this passion in me where like there's this community of people that understand my journey and understand my story that are willing to help. And I want to do the same. I want to
mm,
pay it forward. I want to give back. So it started to really build this passion in me of like, well, what can I do to take what I've learned to help others? Because there was a bunch of my teammates at that time that were done with their sport, or just people that I knew at the university done with their sport, having master's degrees and doing odd end jobs and still trying to figure out their pieces. I'm like, we're all going through the same thing, and I feel like it shouldn't be that way. And what can I do to help? And that's really kind of what kickstarted me on this journey to start to figure out what I can do and what my passion is to serve others.
Mm. So this span, when that started, how many years in the making of this dream to now, as you sit here, this dream coming into fruition of you being able to do this from a
Man,
business
yeah.
standpoint?
I mean, when you were a kid, you always have a dream of making it to the pros when you playing sport. I started with
Facts.
baseball. Yeah. I started with baseball, then I went into basketball. I got into football and I realized how good I was at it, but I wasn't like the biggest fan of football at a young age. But once I got into high school and I realized like there's really potential for me to like really pour into this, by that time I had played so many sports that I realized for me, sports was going to be a ticket for me just because I had that actual ability that God gave me to go in and compete at a high level so
Mm,
that colleges were looking at me. So I saw it as a way for me to propel myself to whatever future I wanted to get, but knowing that that was going to be my investment. I'm invested, I'm going all in. That's my time. So I would say, shoot, 15 years, just going in,
mm-hmm,
putting my time, getting to college and really trying to push it forward. And then when you get to college and you don't have the opportunities to like branch out and do, internships and start to prepare for life outside of sports, you start to look back like, damn, did I miss an opportunity there? Like to
mm-hmm,
develop something? Like now that I'm out here, I don't know what taxes are. I don't know how to rent a car. I don't know how to, get an apartment. I don't know how to do an interview. Like all these things that other students on campus are doing. I didn't get a chance to do that because I'm pouring into what I thought was going to be my ticket.
mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah, that man, that's deep. When you said that, I'm like, man, if you for any athlete that loved playing sports, right? I think ultimately when you first started, when you were younger, you always thought I'm going all the way. Bro, I didn't even get any scholarships. Like I passed up some apprenticeships. Some not apprenticeships, some appreciations. Like I was pretty smart, Ivy Leagues and HBCU because I was young and because now I'm going to D1 and blah blah blah. And even in my
The mindset.
mind, yeah, even in my mind out of high school, like I'm gonna go, bro. No, you're not. So it was at some point it clicked. Like, man, listen, sports, you're gonna always love it. Enjoy. I did every intramural, all that stuff. Be a collegiate student and enjoy that journey, man. So it's so
Yeah.
funny that you said that because I think most athletes can agree to attest to that, especially if you make it to the collegiate level, which is a small percentage from college and then especially to the pros. So even to have that moment. So
Yeah.
now fast forward, when did you launch Striving Higher? When did you launch it officially?
Yeah. So I want to give you your flowers too in this because like I, I take in all of the relationships that I build and the people I connect with, and I don't take it for granted. I feel like every person along your journey has a piece to contribute and
Yeah.
something for you to learn from. And for me, as I started to understand what my passion and my purpose was, it kind of drove me to start figuring out what my next step would look like. Um, I wanted to come back and help people from the University of Minnesota and focus on how I can help them transition to life outside of sports and take advantage of the resources that are at the U of M because I felt like we didn't really pay attention to that. So it drove me to move back to Minnesota after I left, being spiteful that the NFL didn't work for me just trying to figure out life. I came back because I felt like I can be an engine, a bridge to help. And I know there was a lot of things going here that people just don't know. And how can I help? It led me to get into a role where I'm currently still at the University of Minnesota Alumni Association, where I get a chance to like connect the dots and build a bridge with a lot of alumni and do all the things that I thought I really, really wanted to do, which is, enhancing lives and helping people and really making them feel a sense of pride and spirit
Mm,
regarding their time and their relationships that they've built, at, said institution. But this itch and this passion that's always been a part of me, it has started to like grow and get bigger and bigger the more that I'm here and the more that I've had the opportunity to connect with people. And I've been happy and blessed to have this opportunity to just do this on a grander scale, just to learn the landscape of how to engage with people. But the former athlete is still a market that I feel like is not being tended to very adequately right now. And I wanted to change that. I still want to be a change maker in that. So over the last years, I would say during the pandemic, it really kind of jump started me to like, all right, let me figure out how I can create my lane and my space in this industry to help others. And I saw that there are other people trying to do some of this work too, trying to support athletes. And that really inspired me to do more and looked into life coaching. And when I looked into life coaching, I just tried to figure out what is the path for me? What do I want to get out of it? And what can I really bring to it? Um, and it led me to, going through CLCI and getting my certification as a master certified life coach and learning from individuals like you and others about how to approach coaching. Because like an athlete, you think about it like I get to tell you what to do. I'm
Right,
your advice
coach.
giver. Our coach, they give us constructive criticism and all those things. And that was my assumption going into it, that I got all the answers and I can give them to people. But I learned a lot in that process to help build what I really want to do, is be of service and empower people to find the
Mm,
answers that they already have in themselves. And when I got those certifications, it really jump started my framework and thinking about how I can approach this in a way that is applied to athletes to help them feel like they can take those transferable skills that they had when they were playing, being a leader, being a part of a team, and do that in life and really pull themselves up by the bootstrap in a certain extent, to think about like their identity as a player is not gone. They still have that desire to win, that hunger to be a part of a team, but it could be applied. You can still resurface that identity in a way to help you navigate life. And I've always been this person to really think about a growth mindset. Like I like learning, I like growing. I go about life as there's an opportunity for me to learn something new every day. So much so I created a mantra for myself called striving higher every day. It's tattooed on me, it's shed. It's my lifestyle. It is how I approach things. And I try to put that upon everything that I do and the people that I connect with. So when I decided to create a business, it was like, oh, how can I mirror this and bring it all together so that everybody has the opportunity to strive higher with me, but get the empowerment that they need to have the
mm.
fulfilled life that they want outside of sports. And that's how Strive Higher After Sports was created. And it was just launched, man. Like you said, this is early phase. I just launched 3 weeks ago. This has been a culmination, what would we say, 15 to 20 years in the
Yeah,
making to get to this point. And it's just exciting to be on this journey now. And I'm excited to just be able to impact others and help them, feel empowered in their next journey, in their new life. They still got the
yeah.
same identity, but giving them that the juice that they need to bring it out themselves.
I love that. Let's if you watching this interview back, I don't care if you're watching a year from now. I don't care if you're watching this in 2025. I want you to stop what you're doing right now and come on, applause that. Congratulations on that, bro, because it's so easy to go through these things and connections, right? And you leave so much stuff on the back burner, right? Or you just leave it on the shelf. They say often that the richest place on earth with the most possibilities, the most ideas, dreams, thoughts, money is the cemetery, because so many people just sat on these gifts and these ideas and thoughts they had, how they want to help people, how they want to be an entrepreneur or just live out an idea, right? Or thought that they had. So for you to do that, I love it. And that's why I love the fact of, for me, people say, well, people have asked me, well, coach, how long somebody got to be in business to do black business? Are they in business? That's all I want to know. And that's what the platform is all about, man. So congratulations on that. And just a pleasure. You said something too, going back to it. Certain people just stick out, man. I've been in the teaching role for 2.5 years now. And it's just certain people you ain't got to say nothing. It's just stick out, every class. And there's been former coaches that have been on impactful conversations, Black Business Booming, I've worked with and did things with. So it's just amazing, like you say, connections and knowing that every person, every engagement, every interaction in your life happens for a reason. It's just up to us to figure out what that's for. So definitely, man, send that back to you.
Yep.
I appreciate you and just what you're doing. So now when you think about this, 3 weeks, getting to this point of bringing this dream together and getting to the point where you launched 3 weeks ago, what was one of the most challenging things up to 3 weeks ago when you said, let's do it? Let's make Strive Higher After Sports something bigger than what I'm just thinking now. What was the challenge leading up to that point?
I mean, when you're trying to start a business, there's a lot of nuances to it when you talk about the actual business side of it. And part of what I was hoping to do is like not let some of the things I don't know stop me from
Mm,
going. Like I felt that, and I got a lot of friends that are entrepreneurs, and one of them said something that really stuck out to me, and it just told me like, all right, stop wasting time. You're gonna figure this out if you just go. Is that this person said, hey, I, for the longest, wanted to make sure that everything was right, that I had everything, all the knowledge that I needed, all the pieces in place before I, became a business owner. And I look back on that and I was like, I was wasting time because people who are looking for your services, they're looking to invest in you. And how you show up authentically and whatever you're bringing, they're going to accept that. And the more that you wait to kind of get everything perfect, the more that person who could be your client, the person that you're serving, is suffering. And I
mm-hmm.
was like, oh man, all right, no more wasting time. I'm gonna do what I can to get everything together. But if it's not all the way together, I'm still gonna be on this journey, and people are gonna accept me for that because they know me, they trust me, and they know that I'm coming through with this in an authentic way. And I'm gonna grow. I'm gonna lean into the business side and just learn the aspects that I don't know. And it's been I would say a month journey of just kind of picking up some of the pieces of like starting the LLC, getting all the business credentials and things that you need from that side, and then thinking about the marketing aspect of what you need to
Mm-hmm.
do next with your brand to kind of get clients and things like that. Like part of me is like I've been able to learn things in my life when I didn't know what I was doing. As an example, I worked in the industry, biotechnology. That was one of my jobs, and I had to be the brand manager for this organization. I knew nothing about biotechnology, but I was able to learn and help market that organization so that their social following and their brand became relevant. And I'm like, if I can do that, I shouldn't be afraid to be able to market myself because it's me that I'm talking about.
Right.
It is me that I'm investing in. So I'm willing to like put myself out there and learn, knowing that I'm going to make some mistakes here and there. I'm not going to get everything right, but there's a village too, like people like yourself and others that I know that are in these businesses and entrepreneurs. Like nobody is doing it alone. They're willing to share and give that advice. So for me, it's just like
Thanks.
that was a challenge to not hold myself back to just go. And then the other aspect is just knowing that there's going to be things that I'm not going to know and I'm going to make mistakes, but that's all right. I'm going to grow from that. And there's a community out here that I can lean into to help me as I continue on this journey. So,
Yeah, love man, I love that. Listen, just if you ain't taking notes, if you're watching this, because so much of what you're saying is so true, man. And big part of what you talked about already in this conversation is the importance of utilizing the resources around you, right? You talked about connections and the people, and a lot of times, especially as a solopreneur, right? You're doing it, you are the marketing team, you are the CEO, COO, all the other stuff. You are the finance, you're all this, right? And part of that journey can be lonely once you branch out there, but people here, and I hope they see the importance, even in what you're saying, and see, going back and almost, it's like an analysis of every connection you have. It's like, let me use these resources. Let me tap into, oh, yeah, this person does that. This person does that. What can I learn or what can I glean from this connection
yeah,
or our interactions over time? So I love that because it gives that person who's out there and like, man, this is tough getting started
yeah,
to know. Let me lean on some people. You know what I mean? Like, let me figure out what it is that they can impart that's going to help me in my journey, and even the stuff that someone knows, right? They've been on that road of doing all the stuff that you're saying, getting things established. So I love that, and it's important, and I hope people will really think about that, take it to heart. Like, man,
Right.
let me reach out.
Right. And part of it too, like, is like, I think all of us, especially for those who are entrepreneurs, are thinking about being an entrepreneur, there is always this mindset where you're like, am I ready? You're like, I want to wait until I'm ready to do this, but you're never going to be ready. Like, you have to take a leap of faith, and you have to be willing to grow with it. Because what I start to realize about my life too is that in the moments where I feel like those butterflies coming, those nerves starting to creep up, it's just like right before the game, like I will have that feeling, but that will keep me awake. That will keep me
Mm-hmm.
aware of the scenario, and that will help me to go into the situation ready to take on whatever's going to come my way. So when you have those feelings, lean into them, like
Yeah.
go forward, because it you can't shy away from it, and you may miss a blessing, you may miss an opportunity. And that for me was like one of the biggest things too, is like I feel like when I heard the person say like there's people out there that are looking for you, and they'll take you for where you are now, and looking at the landscape of the connections that I've built, I feel like there's so many opportunities that I can take advantage of if I just put myself out there. And if I waited until I got everything perfect, I might have missed the opportunity that could really propel me. And I didn't want to do that. So let's just go. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Just I've been saying since high school, life's like Nike, just do it. Like
There you go.
even when you don't know, like, man, listen, I just gotta go because I'm sitting on something, and I love that what you
Yep.
said too. And I'll say that sometimes in class for coaches and stuff, when you launch your business, like if you have the mindset, the passion to help people, then the longer you defer, whether you're perfect or not, you are hindering somebody's breakthrough.
Hmm.
Somebody's waiting for you to come tell them how they can transition to a beautiful, blessed life after sports, right? And so it's like, man, I have to do it now. So Steve, for that person that's watching and say, man, okay, well, I love this. I'm loving this interview. I'm launching my business next week. I'm launching soon as well. When you think about that, and in this just the last month or so, and even get preparing to launch, what are some of the day-to-day challenges for you in terms of starting a business, and especially it being in the beginning stages? What are some of the day-to-day challenges that you face?
Yeah, I think, when you're a single business that is focused on selling a service, for me, I think it's really about, you can, to a certain extent, build the service offering that you want, right? And you can take a lot of time to do that. But the challenge is going to be, how do you get people to care, to want to, buy your services? And what are you doing to differentiate yourself, or put yourself out there, to a certain extent, that people will resonate with your story and your journey? Because once again, I mentioned this before, people are not buying into your products or services, they're buying into you. So I think
Mm-hmm.
a challenge with any entrepreneur that's really out there to try to connect to people, and this is a people business. I just heard this term the other day. Instead of B2B, which is business to business, or B2C, which is business to client, think about it as P2P.
Mm,
It's people to people.
yeah,
And
yeah.
what are you doing in your business and in your services to connect with other individuals, that they want to see you and they want to connect with you? And yeah, the services and the products that you offer is a bonus, but they like, oh, I like this person. I like what they're offering. I like what they're saying. I understand that. I resonate with that. Um, and I don't want to, attract to that. I think that for a lot of business owners that get started, I think from what I've seen, people focus a lot on the things that they control and what they can build internally, and like, hey, I'm the best coach. Like, people should just come to me.
Mm-hmm.
But the challenge really is, how do you connect with the people? And what are your strategies to connect with the people? How are you leveraging, especially if you have a network, how are you leveraging your network to connect the dots with what you're doing? And they can think of you like, oh, I know somebody who's doing that type of work. You should talk to them. How do you activate that in a way that you are connecting the dots of who you are and really establishing yourself as this resource that people can lean onto and come to in some of those opportunities that are available. So I'm a marketing person, I'm a branding person at heart. So I think about that as like that's going to be the quintessential challenge of just like operating moving forward
Hmm.
and continuing to put the message out there so people understand like what Strive Higher is about and how everybody else in the world um has their own type of way that they can approach life, and also how they strive higher in their own ways, and how that story resonates with things that they're trying to do in a
Mm,
way to kind of take them to the next journey so that they understand we're in this together. I'm not here to try to sell you on something that is not going to help you. I'm not here to, you know, do all this just to make money. I'm a person that is here to provide service. And because that, I think about this business as a P2P, and how do I relate to people in a way that they can understand my journey as part of this process and how I can use what I've learned and the skill sets that I have to help them in their journey.
right. Man, I love that. Like, and that's, I think that's any entrepreneur is that challenge daily of how do I get myself out there and how do I let people know that I'm here to help and that what I have to help them will add value to their lives,
Right, right,
and that connection, this idea of people want to know you like you trust you.
right.
So yeah, that's huge, man. And in what you said, I love that breakdown. I said I'm surprised I lasted as long as I did when I was in the personal training industry because my thought process was always it's called personal training. It's personal. It's the relationship first. I'm not thinking about the sale as much. I remember being in management and co-ownership and the franchise the franchise training that I was part of. It's like, no, that's not a good way to think. I said I want to empower my clients to fire me. Like if you training with me for 10, 20 years, you ain't lost that 2 pounds. You want to like, man, what kind of, and I get it. Over time, I realized that a lot of people, it's their social hour. A lot of people, it's
Right,
the
right.
thing they do to maintain. But like, I want you getting better. I want you striving, getting better than what you was last month at the very least. So
Mm-hmm.
I love that thought process of this, again, people to people, because you have to make that connection, right? People are going to, what's going to draw them is that emotion I like this person. I love what
That
they're
empathy,
doing.
right, right.
Yes, I love what they're doing. I want to be a part of that. I'm missing out. I didn't know I needed coaching till I came across Steve's post. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, yeah, I need this. So I love that, man. So now, if we flip that, we've been talking about challenges in getting started and just the day to day. What is the most satisfying part of launching now? Strive higher after sports and being able to see this happen and grow on a daily basis. What's the most satisfying part of that for you?
Well, I would say for one, the response that I've gotten so far from just like people that knew I've been a part of this work and been trying to do this in the shadows. And now that I'm out here, screaming to the heavens and letting people know, like, hey, I am that resource. I'm trying to be the person that can support you in your journey. And being able to then take that and connect with more people about, what are the opportunities that I'm trying to grow and build partnership, because you're part of a team when you're in the sport, right? And I love teams. I love being a part of teams. I love being part of individual roles within teams, but also how we work as a collective. And as you talk about Black businesses, right? You know, one thing that I think we should be doing a lot better job of is collaborating on opportunities to help us both succeed. So
Hmm.
for me, I approach this in a way where, yes, I have the individual talents and things that I bring to the table that I want to have for my own success, but I also want to leverage opportunities to connect with other players that have helped me so far in this journey and people who are trying to do this work as well, to connect the dots, build our brands together. And at the end of the day, we're serving the former athletes and helping them to have fulfilled lives outside of sports, which is the ultimate goal, right? So the most satisfying part for me right now is just that I have now this, I guess, this pathway and this opportunity to continue to connect the dots with more individuals in that type of realm of thinking, whether it's they're trying to support athletes, there's organizations that are trying to do this. I can start to leverage the leadership and opportunities that I've developed here at the university to share. Here's an aspect that I think is underserved that I can come in and connect you with either myself or other players in this space that are helping to provide support and help for former athletes. Because I feel like right now, the landscape from the former athlete standpoint of just like that support, it hasn't gotten a lot better, and it like I said, it's very underserved. But with the new onset of from a collegiate athletic standpoint, the transfer portal, NIL, I really kind of feel like these athletes have one the opportunity to like look out for themselves and make money. However, at the end of the day, they're going to be looked at more as a product than a
Mm,
person
hmm.
than they ever have before. And who's going to care for them afterwards? So to
Yeah.
me, I'm excited to be on this journey, knowing that there's a lot of things that are disrupting that athletic transition, and it's gonna get exacerbated. And I want to be there to figure out how to help, organizations and the athlete in that transition, because you go from making a bunch of money in an NIL deal, or you want to go into the transfer portal because you don't like the opportunity that you have at the current institution. You go to the transfer portal and end up not getting picked up by a team. You lose your scholarship,
Mm,
and now you got to pay for school, and now you got to figure out your own life. Woo! Just think about
yeah,
what that feels like.
man.
You know what I
Ugh,
mean? And then you make an NIL deal and you make a lot of money. You go to the NFL and you get cut, and now you got to go back to your hometown and get like a odd end job, right? But you were making $1 million, and now
yeah.
you're down in this, and what that does to the psyche. So I can see that coming. The landscape is already at a point where people are starting to feel like, what do I turn to when I transition? Because as an athlete, you never know when your time's going to be over with. Everybody thinks they have control. Like, oh, I'm going to
Hmm.
play until I'm 35 and I'm going to retire. I'm going to be in the Hall of Fame. Mm, I would say 99% of people don't get
Right.
that dream to be fulfilled. Like, it ends in a very disrupting fashion.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you're not prepared for it, like, you need some support. And this is where I feel like it hasn't been touched adequately for people to really feel like they have that sense of community and opportunities to connect. And it's going to get worse. So I'm like, this is the perfect time to really get into this and try to figure out how I can learn and grow and help others in their learning and growing process as well.
Man, it was so much that happened right there. I'm a visual person, so I'm gonna go all the way back to what you said. Now that I'm screaming out to the heavens, your background, man. I'm like, I just saw you floating, like you in its audience, right? Of just speaking where people can hear you. And then you talked about collaboration, and I just saw that, like, man, I could go to Minnesota and help my bro out for an event, speak to some athletes. He can come to Birmingham. We connect, meet, so I so much visuals going on. And then just the idea of being a not only just a thinker, right? But forward thinking, like you said, and you going through it, what's happening. And when you said that, I'm like, wow, that's huge. And I think a lot of people haven't looked at that side of it because from a coaching standpoint, they can look at it as, I feel like a lot of times coaches they don't want to compete in that way. It's easy now. The athletes have that power. But what you said, man, and going back to where you said person to person, people to people, when you said that, that's huge. And I think a lot of people that are connected to athletes needs to hear that message of like, what happens when now you're no longer that college collegiate athlete, that professional athlete, you're a product, man. Because when somebody stops wanting a product or they don't want a product, it sits on the shelf. And then the store, we ain't carrying this no more. So that when you said that, I was like, there's so much in what you said. Listen, y'all need to send this to athletic directors, people in sports and athletes for sure, man, to just hear this and connect with Steve, man, because this is what you're saying is just so on point, and it's amazing that you are stepping this gap, right? You saw a gap, you're stepping in this gap. And this is the point where I say almost in every interview, bro, I say, listen, I don't need nobody or standing for nobody to tell me what black people are or are not doing because I know what my web is doing, the people in my life. They say, well, I don't see black men doing this. I do. Well, I don't think black men, I do, right? Well, nobody's doing it. Going back to me. No, 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 no. Maybe you're not looking in the right place. Maybe you're looking at the wrong messenger, right? So it just gets me excited. And I think pretty much almost every Black Business Boom interview, there's a point where I say that. And that was that point, man. So, wow. I'm excited. I was excited to see where you go with it, bro. And just your post that you've been doing and the opportunities that's been coming for you, man. And I know University of Minnesota, y'all just came up on a milestone as well, and you were posting the stuff with the for all the Ski-U-Mah family out there, man. I'm just excited for what you're putting out there and doing, man.
Yeah.
So this is awesome. Now, bro, you've dropped a book of gems. You dropped a book of gems already, but for that person that's watching, two young black men that are in business and doing things, making a positive impact on the community at large. What is that advice that you would give for that person who wants to start a business or they're just starting or just thinking about it or feel inspired to do something better or greater than themselves? Someone who's wanting to strive higher. What is that advice that you would give that person that's wanting to start a business or to keep going, maybe?
Man, that's a great question. So my philosophy of life obviously is strive higher, but part of that is a bias towards action.
Mm,
And I think about opportunities as you won't know until you go.
mm,
Like you can't sit back and you can write all the ideas that you want and come up with a master plan, but until you like put it into practice, you won't realize how much of it really resonates with you and where you can learn and develop and maybe pivot in some areas. So I would say for the people who are looking to start something, to start from where you are. Like it doesn't matter if you don't have the expertise, start from where you are and learn what you need to learn. And then you will start to navigate what are some aspects that's missing and what I need to invest more time in. And you will be able to kind of figure that out as you go. But the other piece I think is really important, and it's something that I take into heart. I kind of talk about the people to people, the relationships. There are a lot of people out here who are entrepreneurs, and the community is not selfish. It may look like it from an outside standpoint, like, crabs in the barrel, as everybody say for the Black community. But I think it's the reverse when you actually reach out and you have a connection, you build a relationship with someone, and you just put yourself out there to a standpoint to say, hey, I'm trying to start this business. I see you started a business and you're doing this. What can I learn about this? Can you teach me a little bit about your journey? Because I guarantee you, anybody that you see as successful, they had a lot of failures and they learned a lot of different things that helped them to get to where they are. And I'm pretty sure they have a lot of things that they can provide knowledge and wisdom for others to be able to take in so they don't have to make those same mistakes, but also can help you grow. Um, I am prescribing now, and I've been like paying attention to like these different communities, but I'm prescribing now to get more involved in like these Black networking groups, these entrepreneur groups, the Black Business Chamber, like all these different like support mechanisms that are there. I'm pretty sure there's one in the city where you are, where there is a support mechanism for small businesses and entrepreneurs, maybe even BIPOC entrepreneurs. Lean into that. Like, don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, go seek the knowledge, but use the expertise that is out there to help you get closer to it. Like you can't just sit here on the internet and think you're going to build everything by yourself and you're going to have the expertise. Like, no, you got to go out and try it. And there are other people out there who have been through those things and you can learn from them. So my advice to a lot of entrepreneurs is to, obviously have that bias towards action and go and don't sit and hesitate on your ideas. Start to try to figure out how you can implement them, even what I call prototyping, which is testing it out and see how other people may feel. You got people in your family, close knit groups. You're like, hey, I'm thinking about starting this business about this. What do you think about that? Just see how people react. And then lean into the community. Like, don't be afraid to put yourself out there and connect with others who are already entrepreneurs. Like people, we got LinkedIn, we got social media. You can connect with people with this a simple chat to be like, hey man, I know what you're doing. I'm interested in learning a little bit more. I guarantee you maybe 50 to 60% of the time somebody's going to respond and they're going to be like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
I'm willing to help you out. So being willing to like lean into that and don't feel like you have to do it by yourself because there's a lot of people out here is another part of that. So more gems for you. Boom.
Boom. Like, period, man. Mic dropping left and right. You did drop. Look, I used to work in the sound department and stuff,
Dropping
and so
bombs.
I think about that. Like, you didn't just pissed off the whole tech team and all these mics you didn't drop, man. I love it. So forecast for Strive High After Sports in you're starting this and launching it now.
Yep.
What is ahead for your business and where you want to take your business?
Great question. So right now I am leaning into some one-on-one coaching and helping athletes in their transition with coaching. But my business is going to be multifaceted. I will be offering opportunities to get in front of groups of people and talk about transition and do transition activities to help people prepare for that life outside of sport. I'll also be able to work with organizations because I built a lot of experience and expertise on just the alumni engagement side of things that I'll be able to go work with different groups on how they can keep their alumni and their former athletes connected and also help them in their transition. And when I talked about like leaning into the community, there's other people in this space. And this is the most exciting part about it, because as an athlete, you think about like it's competitive, like everybody's out for themselves, like my team against your team. Like we're not trading secrets. But in the real world, people trade secrets all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we're working together. And to me, the most exciting part about this journey is that we're all trying to build towards something bigger, like ecosystem, a community that is a place for people to be able to lean back into when they're done, to know that there's other former athletes in that same space, whether they went to University of Minnesota, went to St. Thomas, went to Wisconsin. They know there's a community of people who are in that same boat, in that same mindset, having those same feelings that they can lean into and connect with and feel a safe place. You know what I mean? And that's my biggest goal with this. It's like I'm building this out with the standpoint of like what I can provide from a transition service on a one-on-one basis, a group basis, and a consulting basis, but really thinking about community. How do we build community and how do we create a safe space for former athletes to fall back on when they feel like they are isolated, they are by themselves, and the mental, depression and things come in when they lost that identity.
Mm.
How do they lean in with other people who've been through that similar journey and could help them in their processing and their next steps of what they're wanting to do, and don't feel isolated. Like I don't want people to feel isolated. That's a big part of me too. Like I'm a people bridger. I bring people together. Part of my job at the University of Minnesota is to do events. I want to see people, but I also don't want to see that person out on the corner by themselves. Like how do we
Mm-hmm.
bring them in and make them feel like what they have and what they bring is just as important as the other person. You know, so that's the biggest part that I'm excited about, just thinking about down the line, like really building out an ecosystem where Strive Higher at the Sports is a conduit, is a bridge to help connect you and help you in your transition in life and designing a life that is fulfilled, but at the same time connecting you to the whole ecosystem, connecting you to the resources that are going to be there that you can lean on to at any point of time, and you have this sense of community at the end of the day.
Oh, man. Look, I said it already. I don't know how many times I've said it already in this interview, but I'm excited to see where you go with that, man. And just I love how, and I want to say this to everybody: when you watch that, and I said, "What's the forecast? What's next? What's ahead for your business?" You spoke in the affirmative, bro. I didn't hear you say, "I want to." You said, "I am going to." I'm also going to have this. I'm going to do this. And when you talked about wants, it's from your mission, what drives you. I don't want anyone out, but that right there is a gem, and I hope that people pick up on that. Like you have to be, again, going back to what I said, my dub of the year is just say no. Just say no to not being sure about your passion, like the thing that you want to do to help people and to change. You said a powerful word, an ecosystem, right? To change every single part and person that you touch while you're here. That's awesome. So listen, bro, take a moment to just tell the people how they can connect with you to go on this journey with you. Where could they find you
Absolutely.
and more information about the beautiful things that you're doing?
Yeah, I encourage everybody to follow me on Instagram at shed_ave. That's SHED_AVE. And you can check out my website, strivehigheraftersports.com, and you can learn all about what I'm doing with my organization. But Instagram, you'll be able to follow me. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn. But I'm excited for the journey, and I hope that everybody else who's listening can just feel free to reach out. You got a question, you know of somebody who needs this type of support, you know of somebody that I can reach out to and have a conversation with. Like, I am trying to be of service. I'm trying to be, helping in this regard, because I've experienced it, and I know is a big issue that it goes a little unspoken in some chambers. So please let me be of service, and let's strive higher together. So
Love that, man. Listen, man after my own heart. You a coach. This man knows how to maybe help you remove some blinders that you're not paying attention to. You're an author. That's something I strive to do. That's one checklist that I'm gonna do, bro. It's like the world gonna know. um, speaker,
you're gonna
right?
get there, bro.
The
It's gonna
Oh,
come.
for no doubt, no doubt. It's like it's one of those thoughts for me. I always say with that one thing, that step is just a matter of when. It's not if,
Right.
and it's the crazy thing about it, man. It's like me putting my mind to something is like competitive. That actually comes out of me as a challenge. Like, okay, is that's it. And so it's almost like it's tunnel vision.
Use
So
that.
that's the only thing that is like, okay, yep, we know it's coming. So I love that, man. You listen, y'all make sure y'all connect. It's going to be information in the description below. And if you reach out, just let my bro know that you saw him here on Black Business Booming, man, and made that connection. And I'm talking to, parents, athletes, athletic departments, whomever this resource, use it and those connections. And one of the beautiful things you said is just leaning into what we have, right? So many times we don't know. Another reason why I do this is so people can see all the different ways that we fill a void, or all the different ways that we follow our passion with Black businesses that are booming, right? So another way of doing that. So I appreciate it, man. Anything else? Any last words that you have for the people, man? Because at this point, we just need to pass around the collection plate, because you've already blessed the hearts and minds of the people so much.
Well, no, man, I'm not gonna take up much more of the space. I just want to say thank you for having me, and I'm excited to be on this journey. I want to thank you for your support and helping me and being part of this journey with me. The work that you're doing is just as important as the work as I'm doing, and I'm excited just to see people get served, man, and really, have fulfilled lives and be connected to people that really care, because we're in a crazy part of the world right now, man. Like, there's a lot of extra things that are happening outside of our control that is really
Mm-hmm.
causing a lot of chaos and trauma. And we need more people who are service givers and are helping to impact others to help create a better society here. So we're part
Yeah.
of that, and I appreciate that you had the opportunity to bring me on, and looking forward to our journey together.
No doubt, man. Same here. Look forward to it. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Make sure you tell a friend, share. Drop some words in the comments. Make sure you connect with Steve and strive higher, man. That's all we're gonna leave with you. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, share this out, comment. Let me know what stood out to you. And thank you for tuning in to another dope episode of Black Business Booming. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.